Words are about to be spoken on the extreme life of Matt Hardy, presented to you by Wrestling According to Alba, the ad-free shows network and podcast heat. It's our first episode of 2026, baby. I'm John Alba, and that's the broken one, the woken one, the spoken one himself for the first time in the new year, Mr. Matt Hardy. Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Can you get Top Grifter in there somewhere too?
Oh, yeah, sorry. The broken one, the woken one, the spoken one, and professional wrestling's top grifter. Big money, Matt Hardy.
The truth is the truth.
Man, there's so much money. No pun intended. There is legitimately so much money in that gimmick at some point. I can't wait for it. It's going to be great.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be great. You're going to be walking around with a podcast mic just shouting opinions that rile people up, rage bait. It's going to be great.
Whether it's true or not, I try and make a habit of being unbiased and being as fair as possible. But whether it's true or not, people are going to take whatever they want to hear and whatever they want to believe, and they're going to run with it. They're going to put their narrative to it and take off.
The rage baiting Matt Hardy. You've worn many hats over the course of your career. Well, Happy New Year to you, my friend. How'd you guys celebrate the New Year? You knocked out, it sounded like. Honk shoe over here.
Yeah. Happy New Year to you as well, John. Happy New Year to all of the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy viewers that are checking us out live, or people that are watching this podcast when it drops on Friday. Yes, we had a couple kids that were. Rebecca is a little under the weather, and a couple of kids were showing signs of it. So we were initially going to do our annual deal and go out and bowl and do the whole deal, but we ended up staying in, and we had our New Year celebration at home. And because the kids have been being on a better schedule, going to bed earlier, and we've been training this dog, so we've been getting up throughout the night and whatnot. We ended up crashing probably 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, you didn't miss a whole lot. It's as fans of Austin Powers would know, there was a gas shortage and a flock of seagulls, and that's about it in the new year. Everything is coming up strong, though, my friend. 2026 is going to be a good year for all of us. And we're manifesting it, right? Like you're the manifester of positivity. That's your thing.
Yes, I am the manifester of positivity and optimism.
We're going to try to bring that into the new year.
For sure.
See what comes of it. There was a lot of discourse the past couple weeks in the wrestling world that had a lot of negativity attached to it. So we're going to try and bring a little positivity into things. Hey, we got a new AEW World Champion, man. MJF. He's the world champ. And I know you've got some pretty high admiration for the job that Max does. He was a very long reigning AEW champion in the past. This is his second reign now. What do you think about him getting the belt strapped to him once again and being the guy to carry that company?
It's going to be exciting to see how his second run differs from his first, but he's such a creative and he's just such a smart guy. And he's one of those guys that's not afraid to, be an asshole. He's not afraid to go out and be booed and be the bad guy. Like, he clamors to get that opportunity. So I respect him greatly for that. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this varies from his first reign and actually what he learned from his first reign, how he changes things, how he tweaks things. And I'm excited. I'm excited to watch his reign and follow it.
Well, his whole thing is that he's not the same person he was before. And now he's not taking the easy way out. He's just going to win by being the best. And I don't know, he's a heel, so that sounds a little nefarious to me, but I guess we'll find out what he actually does. I do like, it's kind of cool. They've lined up 5-6 challengers for him already. Kenny Omega got a great promo on Dynamite where I think he and Kenny may be the match at Revolution a few months from now, which is a pretty big match to see Kenny back in the title sphere. It's been a long time since Kenny Omega's been attached to the world championship picture. And I don't know, man, like I still think Kenny is just such a unique, incredible talent who does connect. I know he's polarizing for many. I know you've gotten to know him a little bit over the years, but do you see a world where this version of Kenny Omega at this stage in his career could be elevated once again to that platform?
Yeah, of course he could. I mean, I know he's dealt with a lot of health issues over the last couple of years, obviously, and injuries and whatnot. And, no one works harder. No one puts their body through more than Kenny Omega does when they're out there in the ring. So, big respect and big props for that, but it is what it is. But do I think he could be in that position again? Of course. I think he'd be a great choice for AEW World Champion. And I just think he needs to be utilized as smart as possible. And he's also a good storyteller from, the overall capacity, not just in the ring telling a story in the context within a match, but he is a good storyteller of whatever, a bigger, broader story. I think he is much better at that than people think, just because he's so known for working the diehard style like New Japan and just putting on these crazy blockbuster matches. I think if he worked smarter with better stories, I think he could do great in that position. And I think you use him sparingly, like make him seem more special whenever you use him, especially if he's going out to have a killer match. You know what I mean? Don't do that to him every week. Let him pick and choose and doing those positions. Yeah, I think he has a ton of things to contribute to the company.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the route that I'm going with him. But you talked about like working smart and his body being ravaged. That was a huge part of the discourse this past week, where during the Continental Classic match between Jon Moxley and Kyle Fletcher, Kyle took a really bad landing. The match was amazing, but everyone was talking about this spot where he landed really poorly on his neck, and everyone had an opinion on it. And eventually William Regal, basically, I don't want to say he subtweeted it, but he didn't tag anyone directly or quote tweet it or anything, but he did this long explanation about protecting your neck and people regretting that down the line. And several people, Ivar, Piper Niven, all chimed in as well. Even Kenny Omega himself did and gave credence to what William Regal had to say.
Kenny Omega released a great statement.
He did. There's been people from all over. Tribalisms come from it. People have backed it. What's your vibe on this? Because you and Jeff have taken some pretty dangerous bumps over the years. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this whole discourse about safety.
I mean, I agree 100% with William Regal. Yes, Jeff and I, especially when we were younger and healthier, we did a lot more crazier stuff. But I feel like the risk that we've always taken have tried to be calculated risk. I mean, some people were trying to like do a gotcha moment on me with Jeff. It's like Jeff has never like volunteered to land on his head or on his shoulders. Like I remember there were these people that would do power bombs where they would power bomb people like on their shoulders, and they would call them high angles. They like these high angle bumps are no good. Don't do them. I have never done that stuff. And I mean, there's been times where people said, "Hey, you think you can do this?" I go, "No." Like even at this stage of the game, I'm not going to risk landing on my head and taking a chance. Like my neck is actually good for what it's worth. I bumped and my neck is like obviously got scar tissue in it. It's tight, whatever, but it's healthy. And same goes for Jeff. They were talking about, they said, "Oh, well, look at this bump by Jeff. He did a swanton off a ladder just at the NXT thing." Yeah, but he landed like flat on his back. And, there's a table there that kind of breaks his fall too. I mean, he has never done things where he's landed on his head or upper shoulders. They even someone put a clip, said, "Look at this. We'll explain this, Matt," where he was sitting on a cage door. It's like he was trying to get out of a cage at TNA. He was trying to get out. They opened the door. He crotched himself. And then James Storm hit him with this bell or whatever it was, and then he bumped off onto the stairs, but he like took a flat back bump and then bounced off of it. They go, "Well, look at this. He landed on his head." I was like, "No, he didn't." It was just obviously he hit me. Jeff is very talented at doing that stuff, and he's always been like that too. He's like, I don't want to land on my head." He's always been like that as well. So we're both believers in that. Like I think pro wrestling is so dangerous in general. Even taking a flat back bump that doesn't hurt to someone who's just starting because they're fresh, it's still going to damage your body. It's going to beat you up. Whatever we do, pro wrestling is extremely dangerous. The art form is dangerous in general. What we're doing, dancing in the ring, your body isn't meant to bump on wood and steel over and over and over and over and over again. It's like being in a mini car crash. And it does plenty of damage for that, especially once you've done this for decades. To take the risk of landing on your head or on your shoulders and possibly breaking your neck, possibly paralyzing yourself, is just not, to me, that is a risk never worth taking. Never worth taking. If I'm running someplace, I would never want anyone to do that. I would say take a flat back bump. I know there's been times where I've told people, they go, "Oh, I take a bump high on my head." I said, "Just take a flat back bump." I don't want to risk anybody going back and breaking their neck and paralyzing themselves. It's not a risk worth taking. And I get that some some of the people feel like, oh, I can do these things and I'm okay, I'm young and I'm healthy, but like, don't push your luck, because like once you, if you break your neck and you do damage your spinal cord, like you're kind of fucked for the rest of your life. And I don't want people to be fucked for the rest of their life. It is a bump. It's a bump where I think it is not worth taking. I think some wrestling fans out there are so cold towards wrestlers. They don't even look at them as human beings. They look at them as superheroes and supervillains and think we're superhuman, but we're not. We're all mortal human beings at the end of the day. And you have to remember that there's a life you have to live after you get out of the ring. And I would rather you not live it in a wheelchair.
What is the solution to all this then?
What is the solution to it?
Yeah.
If you are going to do some sort of a move, you do not need to lead. You do not need to land on your head and your shoulders. Either rotate over onto your stomach or land on your back. And even if you do take a higher angle back bump, at least that. But like to go straight down, you should never bump straight down into the mat. Like I don't want to see that happen. I just think it's something that is unnecessary in pro wrestling, especially, you know, like is it going to take someone getting paralyzed, much like the Chris Benoit after the Chris Benoit deal? That's where CTE became a thing, and chair shots to the head that turned out, where back in the day in the 90s, if you didn't take those and you put your hands up, you'd be called a pussy and villainized back in the locker room, you know, and that changed. But it took that crazy Chris Benoit incident for this to really happen and kind of go into effect. And I think most people respect that. They don't want to do, you know, they don't want to do headshots. I mean, is someone going to have to like paralyze himself and just end up in a wheelchair as a vegetable?
Well, and we have seen that, right? Like you were there when Droz got paralyzed. You were there. You were in the ring when Chris Bay had his incident that almost greatly altered his life.
Yeah, and Chris Bay was just taking a regular bump too.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't anything crazy. I was there with Droz. Droz was like a freak accident, but once again, it was a power bomb, slipped out, high angle where he landed, and yeah, I saw it. I was there from calling out. I was watching on the monitor in the locker room in TVL. But I mean, it's just there are some chances in pro wrestling that are just not worth taking.
Yeah. How much did that spook you guys when the Droz stuff happened?
It was very, very weird. It was very freaky. He had hurt his neck a few weeks before. I was actually in the match where he'd hurt his neck. He hurt his neck in a match about 4 weeks earlier. It was a 4-way tag match to like determine a number one contender or get a title shot or something. And they were doing a spot where I want to say he was getting suplexed, and then somebody was getting tripped, and he was going to like rotate his body and land on top of him. But how that happened, it didn't go smoothly. He had him up for the suplex. Someone tripped him, pulled his legs off from underneath him. And then whenever he came down, he landed more like a brain buster than actually than landing sideways and covering the guy. And like when they held his feet to count him out or whatever. So that was a scenario where that he got hurt there initially. So I think that was the beginning of it. And then just he may have been off for a little while, but then like 4 or 5 weeks later, he had that other incident where it happened, where there was a slip. He landed high on his neck, broken neck, spine broken, spine ruptured, you know, and spinal cord ruptured, and he was paralyzed. It was crazy. It was very spooky. I mean, it was a very chilling reminder of how dangerous what we do is, because sometimes people forget that, especially when you go out there and you feel invincible. And I don't know. And I think Jeff is this way too, even though Jeff is still, you know, crazy. He's still willing to do stuff. And he's smartened up a lot over the years, but we think about things a lot differently now that we have kids and shit. Like we want to live to see our kids be older, and we want to be healthy and be able to play with them and interact with them. That's real important to both of us. And we love doing what we're doing. We're both very passionate about it, but we both are very cognizant of wrestling as smart as we possibly can, especially to protect our health and to protect our longevity.
You guys are also a lot more cognizant of rest and recovery now, I feel like, too. Just even the last couple of years, you guys have gotten a lot more in tune with that. You do your cold plunges, you're much more on top of that, I feel like, which is only going to benefit you down the line as well and help you out. So,
yeah,
it's going to be something that people are going to talk about for a long time. But I didn't think anything that Regal said was out of line, and I thought he was pretty respectful with how he went about going about it. Truth be told, because while it happened after one bump, it applies to so many, right?
I mean, it does, man, and it's no like. I think Kyle Fletcher is crazy talented. I'd been in the ring with him, when we were doing tech stuff when he was teaming with his partner, as Aussie Open. I think he's a very talented guy. He has killed it in his role as a singles wrestler. He has really recreated himself, and he's doing the best work of his career at AEW right now. And this is not like a slight on him. I don't think. I mean, I would say this to anyone. I just don't think those risks are worth taking. It just all it takes is a half an inch difference, and you land wrong. And once something. If a spinal cord is damaged, if it's heavily damaged, then that's it. It's a very, very serious thing, and we have to take it serious, especially if you're doing a bunch of bumps in general as it is. Your body's probably going to be pretty beat up as it is already. So I just I love the fact that he is willing to grind and work hard and bust his ass in the ring every single time. But just like moves like that scare me. I mean, it's just the margin of error is so small, and those moves scare me.
Well, I had a great chat with Tony Khan for the takedown on SI. We spoke for almost 2 hours. I encourage everyone to go check it out because I really wanted to get inside Tony's head of how he thinks about pro wrestling and how he books pro wrestling and what his storytelling ideologies are. And I felt pretty good about how we came away with it. And Kyle Fletcher is someone who comes up during the course of that conversation. So go check that out on the takedown on SI. Okay, man. So we have a fun episode ahead to start 2026. But before we can, for the first time in the new year, please hit us with your Matt Fact.
Matt Fact. Matt is motivated by the reset of a new year.
How so?
I mean, it really, to me, I really feel like a new year is a chance to begin again, start again, change. To me, it's easier at the beginning of the year to start something and be a lot more disciplined and dedicated to it, whatever. It's just a great jumping off point if you're trying to do something. And for me too, I had been going back and forth. My training has been pretty hard the last week because I've been home. But even for this debut on the 15th, and then the Genesis pay-per-view on the 17th for TNA, those are both big deals. Really going to tune in on the diet and be very disciplined when it comes to what I eat and my training and everything else. I really want to be in the best shape possible. Actually, I would like to be 199 going into January 15th.
Real cruiserweight territory here. Look at you. I like it.
Yeah, because I hang typically around 205 nowadays. Like during before I was 215 to 220, so I've dropped about 10 to 12 pounds solidly, and I stay around 205, 206, whatever. But I'd really like to bust my ass and drop down to be 199.
Okay. All right, man. I'm down to clown with that. Good luck with that. Okay, so last year, if you remembered our first episode of the year, we made bold predictions for 2025. Well, we're going to make bold predictions for 2026 on this edition of the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. And I wanted to go back before we revealed this year's predictions. I wanted to go back and I wanted to look at what our predictions were for last year and how they ended up aging. Now, I went really bold last year to try to move the needle.
Let me ask you this. Do you think, did they age well? Did your predictions age well?
Not as well as yours did.
Okay.
But I also think I might have been a tad more bold last year.
Okay. Yeah.
So that,
I like it.
Because there are some things the writing is on the wall. We can see where something's going to go, right?
Yeah.
But that's why the fun of pro wrestling is it's a never-ending story. It's 52 weeks a year. We try to see if we can outsmart the fan and if the fan can outsmart the booker. So I wanted to try to be as bold as possible. So
very good.
Let's go through ours from last year. Last year, your number 5 was that TNA would have its best year in over a decade from a business standpoint. And I would say that you were pretty much dead on that one, my friend.
Yeah. We did. Financially, they had their best year. Almost ever.
2 big, massive crowds with Slammiversary and Bound for Glory.
And huge, there was a huge tick upwards of the TNA Plus app, and just a lot more people interested in the product overall. So it was a very, very good year for TNA.
And then a couple weeks into the new year, they'd announced that partnership with WWE. So that was pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Your number 4 was that CM Punk would be looked at as a role model employee. And then I pushed you for a little more, and you said that you'd see him getting a WrestleMania main event. And he did get his WrestleMania main event. Do you feel like he's looked at as a role model employee right now?
I think so. I mean, I think he's looked at as veteran CM Punk, and I think he is he's doing right by WWE right now. Even like the deal, he went to Saudi, which whatever, that's like a role model. That's a company guy, Not that he necessarily wanted to do that, but he was down with it, and he made it happen and didn't pitch a fit about it. So I feel like CM Punk is doing right by WWE right now.
John Cena said CM Punk going to Saudi Arabia made him cry.
Yeah. And also too, and
gotta live the gimmick, I guess.
Punk getting that main event too, which was my match of the year.
He did get his main event. He
did. I'm happy for him. He deserved that, and he earned it.
Yeah, he did get his main event. You thought it was going to be a singles match with him and Roman. I think that was the direction they were going, and then they added Rollins into it, so they got that triple threat, which if you tuned into last week's episode, Matt called that his favorite match of the year. So you can go check that out. It's also on the Matt Hardy Brand YouTube page. Your number 3, you thought Copeland and Christian would team by the end of the year. You did think that they would be heels and not baby faces, but they did reunite, but as baby faces. And this is one of those where I think a lot of people felt like this was going to end up happening for them. But they did do it the baby face route, which might have been a little surprising.
Right.
Christian,
I really enjoyed Christian's take on it, though, still keeping his, heel demeanor and those shitty qualities, but still being in the babyface role.
You're my asshole. Copeland said to him.
Yeah.
Number 2, Cena will beat Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam to win the WWE Championship to break the championship record. And then Cena would hold the title for a month to drop it back to McIntyre. So not quite there, but he did break the championship record.
He did break the record. I should have substituted Cody Rhodes for Drew McIntyre and WrestleMania for SummerSlam.
Well, I did predict that. As an aside, I did say that he would beat Cody at WrestleMania and then return the favor to him. But
good job.
But it's the thing is, like, I figured that would be natural. I liked that you went a little more bold with it, because Drew McIntyre should have had a bigger year last year in WWE, and he didn't. So I liked your direction of where you were going with that. And then number 1, WWE will have its biggest financial and popularity year ever. And you clarified by saying that they would be selling out every event like the Attitude Era. How do you feel that one aged?
I feel like financially they had their biggest year ever, but they were not selling out every event because the ticket prices ended up being so steep towards the end of the year.
And they actually had quite a big decrease in a lot of markets when they revisited. So they did make their most money, though, because the ticket prices increased. And then you also had the media rights deals. They signed the ESPN media rights deal. You had the Saudi Arabia money coming in. So overall, I'd say you did pretty well on your bold picks. I said my number 5 was by the end of the year that TNA would have a new media rights deal. So that they did. There you go. You guys are going to AMC, and you're going to be having your big debut here in just a couple weeks. So excited to see where that goes. My number 4 was that Jordynne Grace would be a WWE Women's Champion. She did end up going to WWE, but she did not win any championship belts. And I'm a little surprised by that, Matt. I thought Jordynne Grace would have been presented a little higher in the hierarchy of the women's division upon signing there. I mean, you got to work with Jordynne in TNA for a bit. What do you think?
Yeah, no, she's extremely talented. And I thought she had been a very strong performer. She constantly was doing great work great matches on NXT programming. I think they're just filling her out, but I think it's not going to be too long before she ends up going to the main roster. It's all said and done. That wouldn't surprise me if that happened sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I agree. My number 3 was that Adam Copeland would become AEW World Champion. And I based that, Matt, off of how AEW was booking a lot of the older members of the roster in 2024. And that changed come 2025. I think there was a shift in that. And Tony Khan actually talked a little bit about that in my interview with him. So go check that out. And plus, Cope missed a lot of time this year. He did a lot of filming. So, I mean, hey, good for him. He's breaking out into Hollywood. But he did have one main event match for the world title, and it was arguably the worst received main event of 2025 for AEW. So that did not come to pass.
Once again, I think there's great value in Adam Copeland and Jay Rizzo, Christian and Edge. I think there's great value in those guys. I mean, I still think there's value in Jericho, but just kind of the people that Tony is catering to are not into those. They want that specific AEW style. It's like that certain audience. They don't accept those people. And I mean, it's interesting that Tony's doing that because he kind of puts himself in a corner in some ways where you have all this star power that could do stuff for you, but you don't get the utilization of it. I mean, he's going for a different thing. I mean, for instance, you can look at what Jeff and I did once we went to TNA. We were featured in a very good way, which put us in positions to succeed. And the company grew. They sold tickets, and they did their 2 biggest North American attendances, ever. And we ended up getting the TV deal and everything else. I mean, there are value in those type of performers that have that experience, especially ones that can still go. But Tony has kind of booked himself into a corner where his audience is going to want people that can give that 5-star match, that amazing performance that do the bangers. And, it is what it is. I mean, that's his prerogative. It's his company.
Yeah, but I do disagree in the sense that I still think they really enjoy Adam Copeland and Christian quite a bit. I think they enjoy watching them on their TV when they're on. This was not me saying that I wanted to see Adam become world champion. I just thought that was based on how the booking trends were going for the company. And truthfully, I don't think he should have been the guy to beat Jon Moxley for the world title. I don't think that would have made a lot of sense in the context of the story.
No, I mean, you need a homegrown AEW guy to defeat Jon Moxley with the story that they were telling. I mean, Hangman was the perfect guy, I think. The fact that, at one point you thought it was going to be Ospreay, right?
Yeah, it certainly seemed that way.
I love the fact that they went with Hangman. I think Hangman was the right call, and he was the guy for that job specifically. It shouldn't have been Adam. I mean, but once again, it's just Adam still has a ton of value, and if he's healthy and he can get in the ring and he can still work at a high level, then there's a ton of value behind him. It's just going to be interesting to see how well he is embraced by the AEW fan base.
My number 2 is that Logan Paul would have a world title run, and this did not come to pass. And honestly, I was kind of surprised that it didn't come to pass because I figured that Logan Paul would be exactly who they would want to have a world title on, but it did not happen. And I did have an honorable mention that the Hardys would have a match in WWE in 2025. And
hey, you killed that one.
That did come to pass a few times, so that's kind of cool. Yeah. And then my number 1 was that CM Punk would be one of the top heels in WWE by the end of the year, and Drew McIntyre would be one of the top faces. So this, of course, was coming off the hot feud between Punk and McIntyre. And it's clear both you and I thought Drew McIntyre was in for a big 2025, and unfortunately that just did not happen. So that is what it is. But I want to talk about 2026. So, my friend, how about I start us off? That way you can have the last one here.
Sounds good.
And you can be the cherry on top of our bold picks here. My number 5 is that the Hardys will wrestle on a WWE premium live event main roster match.
Okay.
What do you think about the possibility of that?
I think there is a possibility of that, yes.
Could it be in Saudi Arabia? Royal Rumble's there in a few weeks.
It could be anywhere. Who knows? Could be
Anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation.
Anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation. Anything can happen in New York, brother.
I just think it's clear that you guys signed a contract that you're very happy with the flexibility that it gives you. WWE still values you guys based on how you were presented when you did come over and do the NXT shots. The fans still love you. The weakest part of WWE TV right now, if you're looking at the divisions, are the men's tag divisions. And, the Usos just won the tag titles back on the Raw side, which is, maybe that'll give them a little juice on that side, and that's good.
Right.
But the SmackDown tag teams, man, they had those 2 awesome TLC matches this past year,
right?
And they could barely get TV time outside of that. So bringing the Hardys in and doing a run, and you even teased maybe a TLC match with the Usos and the New Day.
I did. A lot of great feedback to that one.
Yeah. So,
I mean, there were a lot of people like, "Oh my God, yes, please, please, please," and there were other people like, "Retire, old man." It was amazing. I love the Polar Wrestling feedback.
You like the Usos win the titles?
I do. I like the Usos back together. Yeah. I think that's a good, strong injection of name value into the tag division, and I think that can kind of be the start of making the tag division seem a lot more important.
Okay. All right. What is your number 5?
My number 5 is that Braun Breaker will become a WWE World Champion in 2026.
Could happen this week.
It could happen this week, but I don't necessarily think it's going to happen this week, but I think it will happen before the year's out.
All right. So tell me, give me a date. When's Braun Breaker winning the World Championship?
After I will say Braun Breaker wins at SummerSlam or the month after, August or September.
Okay,
that'll be my window.
What do you like about Braun Breaker?
He's a freak athlete. He's just so explosive. He's so crisp in everything he does, and his promo with Punk, I thought the other day was very solid.
His promos have gone real good in the last couple months.
Yeah. No, his growth in promos and his growth, you can feel the confidence in his aura as he's speaking. Not having aura, but you can see he just is more confident, and he's really good at what he does. And just with that potential, considering he's so young and his promos have come so far, his character work has come so far, and he has that explosive athletic ability, and he's so good in the ring. He's going to be fine. He's going to be good, and he will be a player in WWE for years to come.
Would you even say that he's a genetic freak?
He is a genetic freak, no doubt about it.
I've never asked you. One of my
favorite damn Wexliners.
One of my favorite bits of yours, man. I've never even talked about this with you. Survivor Series 02. When you're in the ring and Scott Steiner makes his debut, and man, I mean, it's such a great moment. Scott didn't have a great WWE run, but that moment that he debuts is awesome. And you ate some suplexes and took a trip to Suplex City. But when those sirens go at Madison Square Garden and the crowd realizes shit's about to go down, that had to have been a pretty cool moment for you.
It was cool. It was me and Nowinski in the ring, if you recall. I remember I said, and I added this to the promo because he said something about being stupid and something about, I think for me it was written to be losers. And I said, what if I said they're lupid, like they're losers and stupid? And that was something I got to add to that promo, which I like so much. But I thought it was going to be interesting. I mean, I knew he was a big star. I knew he was older at that time. I worked with him on some house shows after that. It was so funny. John Laurinaitis told me one time, and I'm obviously in my prime here, and I can go, and I'm a workhorse, whatnot. I know John Laurinaitis said, I want you to go out there with him for 12 minutes. I want you to blow his ass up. And if he can't work, then I just want you to beat the shit out of him. And I'm like, dude, I'm like not gonna sabotage this guy. That's like my job is to go out here and have a good match with him regardless. And I'll never forget that. He said, I want you to go out there and blow him up. If he's not up to par, if he's not, if he can't hang with you in the ring, like blow his ass up and then beat him up.
Was it a test or he just had heat?
He was saying it was a test, and he was saying to me it was a test for Scotty. But I also think in some ways he was just trying to give me this information as a test for me to see if I would do that or not. Like, I'm like, dude, that's like not my job. My job is to go out here and make this match work with this guy.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's an awesome moment. And he comes out and the sirens go.
It was a huge reaction. And moments like that are cool, man. I mean, I look back at my career, and the things I cherish more than anything else are just like those big moments. I mean, and stuff like that counts too. You know, it's anytime you're in the ring and you get a crowd reaction that just like gives you chills, makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. I mean, it's special, and that was one of those nights.
Yeah. I love when you just give that shit-eating grin at the camera and go, who says a Raw and a SmackDown guy can't get along?
Yeah, yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right.
Hey, man, I just do while we're on here too, I just said something the other day. I saw a video he did about how his career was ended by concussions and how he's doing all the work. I want to shout out Chris Nowinski, who has done great work. And really has made the wrestling world a better place by learning so much more about CTE. And he's consistently going to different promotions and talking about, you know, the ways to avoid concussions, things to avoid doing, and just ways to be smarter. And, you know, like brain health is a strong talking point in wrestling now. And a lot of that is due to Chris Nowinski. So Chris, thank you for doing that work.
My number 4, Will Ospreay will win the AEW World Championship against MJF at AEW All In. Now, for this to be possible, he would have to win the Owen Hart Cup, which, you know, that's around May or so. So I'm saying here, and they're downplaying. They're saying Will's going to be back next year, but May might be pushing it. I think Will's going to be back in time for the Owen Hart Cup. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like the surprise entrant in it, and I think he wins it and faces MJF for the title at All In and wins the belt in Wembley.
How long has he been out as of now? When did he have surgery?
He had his last match in August and had surgery right after that.
Do you know what surgery he had? Was that reported?
It was, yeah, he had a hernia in his a herniated disc in his neck, I think, or something like that. Let me find the exact surgery.
So did they shave his disc down, or
let's see?
Did they fuse anything in his neck?
I don't think it was a fusion. He had 2 herniated discs that were pressing on his spinal cord, and he performed through it. So there you go. That's what he had going on.
So as far as the surgery goes, you're not sure?
I'm not sure the exact type of surgery that he had. No.
Gotcha. Okay. Good deal.
If it was just to maybe reduce some compression, though, I don't think he would have needed straight fusion surgery in all likelihood. But
no, I mean that's when they take those discs out. Technology's come a long ways. I mean, there's people who've had disc trimmed down to stop them from bulging, and they're still okay with it, you know. But it is, you know, if you do trim down a disc, then it's still is dangerous because now you have less in between, you know, for future use.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Ospreay winning at Wembley, it just seems like if he's healthy enough and they can make it happen, it seems like a no-brainer to me. What do you think?
That's a special moment. I mean, him in his city doing his thing. Yeah, very special moment.
Rub, make it happen. What's your number 4?
All right, my number 4 is this. Mick Foley will appear on AEW programming.
I like this one. I like this one a lot. I think it's going to boil down to if he can actually get out of his WWE contract, what's left from it. I don't know where he currently stands, but for those of you who missed the news, a couple weeks ago, Mick said he no longer wants to have business ties with WWE because of their ties to the Trump administration, so he doesn't want to be making his Legends appearances or anything attached to what his current deal was, which leads me to believe that he'll ultimately become a free agent. What do you think Mick could provide for AEW?
I mean, if I was booking AEW, I would put Mick in a commissioner role and have him go out and just be entertaining as shit. I would put him as like a commissioner or like an authority figure in some way, but you know, just much like he did that time when he came up with tables, ladders, and chairs. Oh my, you know, I mean, just have him go out and entertain people. I mean, he's a legend. He's respected. You're not going to see him in the ring, so I think the AEW fans would accept it. And just try and get some entertainment value out of him in that way.
So I posed this question to my Wrestling According to Alba Patreon subscribers the other day of what would you do with Foley in AEW? Because I agree with you. I think that's very possible.
Is this one of yours too?
It's not one of mine. It's not one of mine, but I do think it's very possible that it could happen. I just don't know what his contract situation is ultimately going to be. But Tony did talk about Mick, in my interview with him and how much he loved Cactus Jack and all that. So I totally think that it's viable. But my pitch to my subscribers was essentially I'd make him like the wise man of AEW, like the actual wise man, where I don't know if we're ever going to see a true authority figure in AEW, because that's kind of like what Tony's deal is. And
Right.
you don't really see authority figures on TV there.
Yeah,
But
no, I mean, I get that.
He should be like the all-knowing being in the back where all these wrestlers have interactions with him and they can play off him. And he can provide mentorship. He can also be a foil for people. I think that would be a really unique way to present Mick. I don't think he needs to be John Moxley's manager or anything like that, you know?
Right.
But I'm with you, man. I think that's a great, bold call. And would you like to see it? I feel like he'd be a good fit there.
He would be. Yeah, he would. I mean, he would fit in there, especially just, I mean, you know, as he said, from his beliefs, especially political beliefs, I think he would fit in there, and just kind of the mindset of AEW. I do think he would fit in there.
Yeah. All right. I like it. I like it. My number 3 bold prediction. Twofold. Dominic Mysterio will win Money in the Bank and become a world champion by year's end. I know you're down with that. I don't know if that's one of your bold picks, but I know you're down the clown with Dom Mysterio being Senior Money in the Bank here.
Yes, I definitely am. I'm huge on Dom. I think Dom's great. I think Dom is going to be a major player for years to come as well, as long as he can stay healthy. I always kind of, you know, put that in as a condition. But no, I am totally down with that. He would be the perfect guy to hold Money in the Bank and be creeping around. You never know when he's going to jump to cash in his title shot. I think he'd be great.
I believe that 2025 was a huge breakout year. I talked about him as my nominee for Breakout Star of the Year last year, where you always knew he would be entertaining and creative, but it was like, does he have a ceiling? And 2025 proved to me that Dominic does not have a ceiling, and he can be a top guy in the company. And I think 2026 is the year that he becomes that, especially with John Cena out of the picture and taking up a major spot there. I think there's a room for Dom as a heel or a baby face for him. It should all go down as a heel, but I could totally see him being a top baby face in WWE, just as Eddie became. The parallels are remarkable, aren't they?
They are. They are remarkable. But yeah, I can see him. I could see him on a very similar path to Eddie, because Eddie did things in WWE that I think most people wouldn't have expected. And Vince loved Eddie because he was so entertaining. Like he really did love Eddie, and he loved his entertainment value because Eddie got it. Dominic has those same gifts.
What's your number 3?
My number 3 is that TNA will push AEW for the perception of the number 2 wrestling company in 2026. And I worded that a very specific way.
Yeah, please elaborate.
I just think with this new deal, and we will see how often we end up going live going forward. But I think this TNA new TV deal with AMC is going to totally help AEW ascend to the next level.
TNA, you mean?
Sorry, what did I say?
You said AEW, TNA?
Yeah, TNA. It will help TNA ascend to the next level. It is going to put TNA back on the level of being a major promotion. And obviously, monetarily, we're not going to be doing the same deal, especially for media rights, as AEW are currently. But it is going to look and feel like a big-time promotion. And I think as time ticks away, I think it is going to look bigger and bigger, and like we're going to be back in the game where they're going to talk about, oh, the top 3. You're going to hear more. Usually it's just like, oh, WWE, AEW, WWE, AEW. TNA is going to be in that conversation after this year, after 6 months or so, I think.
Wow. Okay. I appreciate the boldness. I agree with a lot of what you said there, that TNA is going to benefit greatly from this AMC deal. I 100% am on board with that. It should do better business at live events and pay-per-views and stuff like that.
Right.
I think TNA is going to have a pretty strong debut on AMC.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what that sustains. I don't see a world where TNA has changed the perception that it's becomes the number 2 by the end of the year. Who's to say? Maybe I'm wrong. And that's nothing against TNA. I think AEW is still kind of a juggernaut in its own right. And TNA having any positive momentum is good for the company. And it has a long way to go still, in my opinion, especially since so many of these players in the company are not locked down on full-time deals and long-term deals. So we'll see. But look, TNA doing good business in 2026 is good for the whole industry as far as I see it. So let's find out. And you guys are going to be a big part of that.
Are people still saying out on the streets that Jeff and I are at signed still?
I don't think so. I mean, you said you re-signed, so I don't think so. But there's a lot of talent that has been reported are on short-term deals and not locked down. So, look, you and I have talked about this too. I really think one of the most important things that TNA can do in 2026 is find some of those unsigned great indie talents.
Agreed.
And
that is something I think we're actively working on.
Yeah, because I could rattle off 10 right now for you that I think TNA would be awesome destinations for, that they could become long-term players. I love that you guys brought in Bear Bronson. I think Bear Bronson has a huge ceiling, and so happy that he found his way to TNA because he could be a player for you guys. And you guys are already positioning him as such, which I think is great.
Yep.
So,
I think everybody there has high expectations for him. Yeah,
I'm in agreement with you on that one.
Same thing as the Righteous too. Righteous, there's high expectations for those guys too, and I think they will deliver.
Yeah, they're talented. So
no doubt.
My number 2, AJ Styles will wrestle a match outside of WWE in 2026. What do you think about the prospect of AJ? As we know he's winding his career down this year, wrestling a match outside of WWE.
I could see that. I mean, I had even thought about that. That went through my mind where I think he'll end up wrestling a match in TNA before it's all said and done. Pretty certain of it. I don't think if he leaves WWE though, I don't think he will go to AEW. I think he's kind of like I think he's kind of a very WWE loyal dude at this stage of the game. As crazy as that may sound, but I don't know. You never say never in pro wrestling. Anything can change, and a lot of times money talks. It's a big deal. But I think AJ will wrestle a match outside of WWE at TNA.
I definitely think he's going to wrestle a match in TNA. I think his last WWE main roster match is going to be at WrestleMania. I think it's going to be against Gunther, and I think Gunther is going to send him packing.
He's going to get the Gunther treatment.
I think that's going to be the case. Which is crazy that it like AJ's run could be coming up real soon, and that's a whole nother conversation because man, that feels so unfortunate. But I respect to him, right? Like if this is what he wants to do, you got to give him respect for going out on his terms and doing things how he wants to do it. But I think it would be such a treat because AJ has had a great WWE career. He has overachieved in every single way. There's no reason that AJ Styles should have been as successful in WWE as he's been. And
I agree with that.
That has nothing to do with his talent. His talent was always there. It was just all the outside factors that were held against him, right?
Yeah.
But AJ Styles is the embodiment of the alternative to what WWE was for so long. So him having a TNA match would be great. I think he should face Leon, quite frankly.
I do too.
If they did that match. I think it would be so cool if he didn't sign a full-time deal with AEW, but kind of did what like Rob Van Dam did. Come in, work a few matches with guys that he wants to work with who he could elevate, or have one last match with Samoa Joe. Have one last match with those types that would allow you to use his equity one last time. Go to Japan and work with a big name one more time. Work with the Good Brothers one more time. I could see that being very appealing to him. And then after he's done retiring, going back to WWE as a producer, as a coach, whatever he wants to do. But I don't know. Do you think that's a plausible path?
I mean, you know me, never say never.
Yeah.
I don't know though. I don't know. I feel like he is very loyal to the WWE. He's really appreciated his time there. I don't know. We'll see.
What's your 2?
My number 2 is that Tony Khan will book the women in a pay-per-view main event in 2026.
So this was a big part of the discourse this past week too, coming off my interview actually, and I know you haven't had a chance to see it yet. Willow and Mercedes, where Willow won the TBS Championship at New Year's Smash this week.
Right.
That was a pay-per-view quality main event that easily could have main evented the World's End pay-per-view that we just had this past week. But I don't disagree with you, man. I think it's very possible, and I could actually give you a bold prediction on that if you'd like me to.
Sure.
I think I'll give you a bonus honorable mention, bold pick.
Okay. Sounds
AEW
good.
will run a pay-per-view in Boston that will be headlined by Mercedes Moné in the main event in 2026.
Okay.
Do you think that could be plausible?
Absolutely.
Who would you put in the main event of the first AEW women's match to main event a pay-per-view?
I mean, the two biggest MVPs, most valuable players, I think, when it comes to women, are Mercedes and Toni Storm. I mean, that has happened, but there's a I mean, Mercedes is going to be a big deal there because that's her home area. You know, that's her turf. That's the first thing that comes to mind to do, her and Toni Storm. But there are other people that she could do it with as well, and a lot of it just depends on the kind of the build up and the story you tell leading into this match.
So you do agree with me that Mercedes, at the very minimum, is in the match?
I think so. I think so. It's got to be her or Toni Storm, but I feel like it'd probably be the two of them.
Well, and Mercedes is the one who broke all the barriers in the first place in WWE, right? So it makes sense that she'd be the one to do it in AEW too, and I'm sure she takes a lot of pride in that. So right. I guess we'll see what comes of that. But I like that. I like that, and it should be the year. I think it would have happened in 2025 if Mariah May hadn't left for WWE. I think it would have been Mariah and Tony in that Hollywood ending. I think that would have main evented Revolution.
Right.
But it did not happen. All right, my number 1, the Hardys. I'm giving you 2 this year.
Oh, look at that.
This is the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, after all. The Hardys will go into both the WWE and TNA Hall of Fames in 2026.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think that TNA, it writes itself, right? Like, you guys were so massively important to TNA in 2025. Historically, you've been critically important to TNA.
Right.
Through the Broken Hardys. Jeff had a world title run. You had a world title run. It just makes too much sense, and it should happen while you guys are there. I think that's very important that you get your flowers while you're there. But WWE, this is a question you get asked at every signing you go to, probably. When are you going into the
every day? It's almost a daily question, yeah.
Right. So you have a great relationship with WWE right now. You've talked openly about how much content you filmed for them in the last year.
Right.
Makes a lot of sense to me that the Hardys are the 2026 tag team inductees to the Hall of Fame. Just my thoughts. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, once again,
I know you don't know anything. I know you don't.
No, I don't. I don't know anything about it. But I mean, you never say never. Anything can happen in the WWF, brother. I mean, it is destined to happen. Is it this year? Who knows? I guess we'll see.
Would you be open to it happening while you're still actively wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the deal Rey Mysterio did, where he went into the Hall of Fame and now he's still active and doing a part-time schedule, which I dig that so much. So I don't think there's like this stigma on it now. If you go into the Hall of Fame, you have to retire, you have to get out of wrestling. I don't think it's stigmatized like that now.
There was a good meme I saw online. It was like John Cena retiring, AJ Styles retiring, Rey Mysterio. Do you need me at Raw or SmackDown this week? He's still kicking ass, man. It's pretty amazing what he's
This
doing.
is one of the most amazing things I saw too. That's funny. That is great. He is kicking ass. It was a Gunther thing about people he's going to retire every year, and I think this year it had AJ Styles in there, and then maybe Brock Lesnar for later, SummerSlam, whatever. And then it had the Hardys as the people he's going to retire, but it was 2033. 2033. I was like, Jesus Christ. 2033. I mean, that's 8 years from now. I mean,
bro, next year will be 10 years since you made your return to WWE at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I know, it's wild.
That's insane.
I mean, you might get Jeff and I in a match in 2030 in WWE just to say that we've wrestled there for 5 different decades. But 2033.
That would be pretty surreal. That would be pretty surreal. Not implausible.
No, not implausible. I mean, the New Age Outlaws, they did a deal like that. So if they did, I don't see why we can't.
Yeah. All right, man. What's your number one?
My number one is Chris Jericho will appear on TNA programming in 2026.
Oh, okay. All right. That was the surprise. I wasn't expecting you to say that. Okay. I thought you were going to go somewhere with WWE. So let's talk about Jericho because he's been in the news this week.
Yeah.
I spoke to several AEW higher-ups who believe he is WWE bound. It is happening. And there was a report from Alex McCarthy who said that it's even been considered for this coming week's Raw in Brooklyn that could happen. And people have talked about the Royal Rumble. Let's get into Jericho here before we wrap things up. So, do you think Chris Jericho is returning to WWE imminently?
Yes.
Why do you think that?
I just think he's at that point where his run feels kind of done in AEW, for better or for worse, and it just kind of is what it is. He was obviously a huge focal point, and he is one of the early builders and architects of AEW. Without Chris Jericho coming in and giving them equity as their first world champion, I don't think AEW follows in the same direction that it did initially. It doesn't take off as fast as it did. So he was very beneficial to them. He was like a pillar of their beginnings. And the fan base right now is not necessarily into older performers that entertain as much as they wrestle. They want wrestlers. We're the best wrestle. That's what his branded is. We're the best wrestle. And Chris, obviously with the learning tree stuff, which didn't end up getting over huge and everything else, and him being off TV for a while and his deal coming up. I mean, Chris has always been really good at knowing when it's time to go somewhere else and like freshen up, put a new fresh coat of paint on. And I think he's willing to do that. And with WWE, it's not like he's some young whippersnapper that's going to come in and sign a 5-year deal and do whatever. But I think he can come in, he can appear. He would be a massive star, especially if he's utilized in the right way. He can have big matches that can mean something. I think he could pop over and do something at TNA, which would be cool. He's never done that before. WWE, even like, I don't know. I mean, I could even maybe see, they would want TNA to do something like with AAA, maybe, whatever. I think he would be an ambassador that could perform every now and then, but he is seen more as a novelty act, I think, in WWE. I think that's how it would be viewed as more. And I know he's still looking at Fozzy. He's got a bunch of dates coming up and whatnot, but I think there's so much value and equity in Chris Jericho, and WWE will put him in a position to succeed.
Well, talk to me more about TNA here. Why do you think TNA?
He's never done it. He's never done TNA, and with the WWE TNA partnership, I feel like he would be a great guy that could come and show up, just be on TNA programming, and it is a huge deal for TNA. And then he also gets to check that off his bucket list that he has appeared for TNA. I think that's a cool.
I was gonna say he's a big accolade guy. Do you think that would actually be pretty important to him to be able to say, like, I wrestled everywhere, I appeared everywhere?
No, I think so. He is into that. That stuff is important to him. Like I love that. I love the deal whenever he did leave WWE. He did the stuff with Kenny, New Japan, and whatnot. He is a big guy, and it is important. His legacy is important to him, and he does want to be represented everywhere. And if he felt like he could show up on TNA and do something, just a small appearance of sorts, that would help the company and also be boosted because TNA and WWE are partners now. they have a working relationship, I think it's something he would go for.
Okay. All right. I dig it, man. I dig it. I like that. I definitely think it's possible. Definitely think it's possible. Do you think he shows up at Raw this coming week?
That would not surprise me. I mean, the Royal Rumble would get a great reaction if he showed up and did that, but I feel like having him show up and being on this big Raw, because it's the year anniversary of Netflix, it would make it feel special, and I think they're going out of their way to make this one feel special.
Okay. All right, man. Who would you pair Chris Jericho with at WrestleMania?
Oh, boy.
In a WrestleMania match, hypothetically speaking, who would you pair him with?
Yeah. Maybe even Braun Breaker, the guy I was talking about earlier.
Really? Interesting.
Maybe.
What makes you say that?
Or, I mean, it kind of depends on what direction.
Okay.
What direction they're looking at going with Chris. You know what I mean?
I don't know if putting Chris in like a big main event spot in 2026 is the best route to use him.
But let me ask you this, John. You think Braun Breaker having on his resume that he defeated multi-time world champion Chris Jericho in a WrestleMania match is a big deal?
It would be helpful to him for sure.
Because I feel like he did this with Fandango, but like he wasn't quite ready or proven to be like a main eventer, where I feel like Braun has proven he's going into that territory regardless. So that's one reason I threw that out.
Look, it could happen. I don't know. Maybe I tend to think they're going to be more inclined to put Jericho in spots with guys like Joe Hendry per se, than say Braun Breaker, if you get what I'm saying with that.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's like a lock. You're going to see Joe Hendry and Chris Jericho have a segment together at some point.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if there's an entire feud between them built around concerts.
Right. I'm here for it.
We'll see. Let us know your bold predictions. Comment down below if you're watching on YouTube, or let us know on socials at Matt Hardy Pod. We want to know, what are your bold picks for 2026 as we go into the new year? It's going to be a great year for the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. That's not bold to say. It's a guarantee. It's a spoiler. You never know when the Hardy Party is going to show up in your neighborhood too. That's going to be... I can't wait, man. We're going to have some good Hardy parties in 2026.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt about it, for sure.
Got to etch out where we want to do some. I know you guys... Let's throw over the Major Brothers for a second here. You guys are doing a big appearance in Orlando with them this month?
We are, yeah. On January the 25th, we are going to be in Orlando with the Major Brothers. We're going to be doing a podcast. We're also going to be doing a special meet, greet, and delete. And there are still a few tickets available. They're going pretty fast, though. So if you guys want to do that, you better grab it. What's the name of the venue, John? The Tin Roof. It is at Tin Roof on January 25th.
Yes, that's like the big touristy area of Orlando. Right. It's a cool area. There's a lot of stuff to do there. Well, that's awesome. That's going to be a great show. And like I said, 2026 is going to be awesome for us. Hit us up, advertisewithhardy.com. Promote your business to the extreme. Get out in front of thousands of listeners and viewers every single week at advertisewithhardy.com. Anything else you want to throw out to the diehardies as we turn the page into the new year?
To all the diehardies out there that are checking this out, you'll be checking it out on January 2nd. But it is a new year. And if there is something you've been putting off over and over and over again, you're like, God, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. Like, be motivated. It's a new year. Do it in 2026. Use that. Use the reset of a new year as motivation.
The words have been spoken. We'll see you next time on The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy.